Hello guys, welcome. So you know that feeling where you've built your app and you're using it and everything is going on well, and one time you go into your Google Drive and you realize that even though your app is working fine, your Google Drive is overloaded with files that you no longer need. Okay, so your app is no longer using these images, but then they are still in your Google file. And that's because even though you have been deleting and reposting or re-entering files and images, the Google Drive doesn't delete those files. It keeps compiling and storing them up. And after a while, you come up with a drive that's full of photos that you do not need. Okay. In this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can effectively clean and delete all these files you don't need with just a simple trick in Appsheet. So over here in this app, I have just two records over here that have two images. By my Google Drive, I have several images that I'm not using, right? So how do I make sure that the Google Drive has only this image, right? And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can actually bring your Google Drive over here, see all the images, all the clutter, and then you can actually easily delete them. So I've added an action button over here that says clean the image folder. I'll just click delete. And what this is going to do is it's going to actually remove all the images that are not being used and leave only those that are being used. So you see over here, these two records represent these two images. Is that okay? And also, if I delete or remove a record, the image is also going to be removed. But let's first check the folder. Okay, so let's see what's happening in the folder. So you see currently the folder is being cleared. It's deleting all the images that do not relate. Is that okay? So I should be left with only two over here. Good. Just like I have over here, two. Right? Now, if I delete this one, click delete, okay, I expect the image over here to also be deleted. So guys, this is what we want to achieve. This is what we want to do in Appsheet. So I want you to join me in this journey and let's see how you can do this in Appsheet. Okay guys, so we're currently back in our app. So let's say you built your app, you are done, and you want to just add that feature or that functionality that allows you to manage the images. What you need to do is first go into your data section. Is that okay? And then you're going to click on the plus to add a new data. But this time around, we're not going to add Google Sheet or Google Database. We're going to add what our Google Drive document. So we're going to click this. We're going to click folder, click collections and files. Good. Now it's a good point to actually mention that I actually learned this from the Appsheet community. So let me just point this out that I learned this from the Appsheet community. And then I'm going to click folder. So collections of files. Good. Great. So we are here to select our folder. Now, let me just point out that this is something I actually learned from the Appsheet community. And I have been saying several times in the last few weeks, the Appsheet community is a great place to learn new tricks. Now, over here, this guy, he seems to be a good developer expert. He came up or he wrote a post about this in 2022, guys. 2022. I'm surprised it took me this long to discover something like this. 2022, about how you could actually add a folder as a table and then you could actually delete records or clean it up. And then it's been very, very helpful, very, very good, guys. So please go to the Appsheet community, like his comments. You could actually, let me just show you. You could just like this. I think when you sign in, you could like and then you could show appreciation for what he has done, leave a comment and all those. It's good. Okay, so now let's search for what we want. So I'm going to navigate to the folder I'm looking for. In this case, this is the folder. So once I have that, I'm going to click select. Good. And then what Appsheet is going to do is Appsheet is going to load the metadata of this file or this folder over here. So this is going to create a table. I can just rename this. I can just call this image. I can just call this image like this. And I say, well, create table. And this behaves like a normal table in Appsheet. That you can create reference, you can do anything with it. You can just handle it just like how you have a table. So we have over here ID, path, file, create time, last modified by, and then what the type. Is that okay? So everything over here is what contains your image. Is that okay? So currently we are viewing it as file. I'm going to change this to image so you can actually see, because with file you cannot actually see the file in your app sheet. Good. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to preview this data so that we see what it looks like as a table. Good. So this is loading over here. Good. So over here you can actually see what your ID, your path, your file, which is an image, time created, and then the type of file. Good. Now, do you recognize this? Yes, this is the file ID. Okay. For those of you who have been working with Appsheet, sometimes it's very useful when you're able to get the ID of an image. Is that okay? So guys, this is how we actually can get the ID of an image. It's incredible stuff. Is that okay? Good. So now that we have this, what we're going to do is we need to just create a reference between this table and that table, so that when we delete a record here, it actually affects this. So in order to do this, we need the key of this table, which is the ID over here in this table. Is that okay? So we need the ID here. Now the issue is, we know that there's no key or there's no foreign key over here that we can just create a ref. So we need to find a way to look up this ID in here and create a ref. Now the only key between these two is the image column. Yeah, you see the image column in the spreadsheet. When we come here, the image column over here contains the image. Can you see? This is the image's name at the bottom here. Good. That same name is what we see over here. So we can actually look up this if we just attach this guy. Sorry. We just have to attach the file name, the folder name. We need to attach it to this file. So we'll create a virtual column and attach that name to this, and then we'll use that to look up the ID. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Good. So we'll come here to folder. I'm going to create a virtual column. I'm going to call this my lookup key. Okay. Then it's going to just be a concatenation of this. And just to be safe, I'm going to use a text function, wrap this around my file. Okay, good. So this should give me, if what I'm doing is right, good. So this should give me this. So now I can use this to look up the key from my file table. Is that okay? I hope you're following. I'm going to save this and then I'm going to click done. Good. So now I can create another virtual column and call this profile. Good. And the whole idea of this is to just do a lookup and say, using my lookup key, I want you to go to the profile table where I have all the profiles, look inside the image field, and then I want you to return the ID field. Good. You get it. Then click save. And then this is a ref. I'm going to click done. Is that okay? So if I save this, let's see what's going to happen. When I click this and I come here, I come to view, I should be able to add a related images column. If I did this right, good. You see I have what the related images column. So now this is linked to the record in the folder table. Now all I need to do in order to make sure the delete happens is that I need to click this. No, not this guy. I need to come here to my images folder, I think, come to profile ID, and I'll say, well, this is a part of the primary key. You get it? So once I check this, what this means is if I delete the record in the primary table, which is a profile image database, it should delete all related records in the images folder. So this is going to also delete all the records over here. So I'm going to click done. I'm going to click save. So now when I delete a record here, once they are related, it will delete all the records in the images folder. That's how it should work. But then there's something you need to realize or need to do. You see, by default, when you pull in, let me just do this again. By default, when you pull in a table or a folder, it comes as read only. Is that okay? So you need to activate delete. If you don't activate this, it will not allow you to delete, or you don't have the ability to clear that. So I'm going to click save so that it can actually allow me delete. Good. So I'm going to add a new record, and then I'm going to click delete, and then we'll see what's going to happen. So we have profile images, we have our folder. Is that okay? Good. So let's add a new record, and I'm just going to delete, and then we'll see what happens. Okay. And then I'm going to say Noah Jones. I'm going to say COO. Let me just put an amount over here. Then put say good. Is that okay? So this is my records in the spreadsheet. And then once this sync, an image will also be uploaded over here shortly. Good. So it pops up here. So this is loading. So if I come into my folder, I should see 2 images over there. Let's refresh this. Good. I have 2 images over here. Great. So now what we are expecting is if I delete a record, so if I delete this one, I click delete. Okay, not only is this cleared from the spreadsheet, what happens that this should be deleted as well. So this is syncing. Let's see. Good. So it's gone. You get it. So in this way, I'm able to manage my spreadsheet folder, manage my Google Drive space to make sure it's not cluttered with things that are not needed. Now, what if you already have several images over there? So let me just upload a number of images over here, like I demonstrated in the beginning. How can we clear everything at a go to make sure that it's clean? So I'm just going to select all these images. Let's add them and just upload. Is okay. So all these are uploading. Now, while these are uploading, let's come into our Appsheet app. Now, what we're going to do is this time I'm going to create an action that's going to make sure that so long as that image is not being used by the app, Appsheet should go ahead and delete it. Very simple. So we're going to come here to actions. Okay, and under the image folder, we're going to click plus. We're going to create a new action. We're going to say clear unused images or files. Okay, this also happens with files as well. Okay, now we're going to carry out an action on a set of rows. Is that okay? Now, this is the image folder. Now, basically, the action is going to say that select, okay, in the images folder, ID, where now we are only interested in images that do not have a relationship or do not relate to any record in the profile image database. So if they don't have any record over there, then it should be deleted. But if they do, it should not be deleted. So the only relationship between the two, right, is our profile ID. Remember this profile ID that we just created. That helps us to do the ref between the two. So we are only selecting the records that this particular ID is blank. It doesn't have a relationship over there, right? So when I click save, when I come here, I'll say delete. Is that okay? Now I can just go in there and use any delete icon, anything. So this one to delete. Do you get it? Good. So this is on the image folder. So if I come here, let me refresh this. Good. So now I have all these images that I frankly do not use or I do not need. Good. So once I click this icon, even though I'm clicking it for an image or a record, that is using that particular image, what is going to happen is that Appsheet is going to make sure it's going to clear all the ones that are not being used. You get it? So I'm left with only the image that is being used in my app. This is a very, very handy trick to know because it does so many things. It helps you to manage your file space. Helps you manage your app, and it also gives you something I think which is very important: the ID of each file in your Google Drive. So, guys, thank you very much for joining me for this video. I hope you learned something because trust me, this was something that's very useful for me, and you've seen me use a lot of times in my app. So leave a comment, leave a like, tell me how you manage your folders or your files in your Google Drive. And I hope to see you in the next video. Take care. Bye, guys.